While you slept last night, your brain molded your personality by filtering significant memories and experiences. But who's deciding which ones make the cut? Neuroscientists assumed it was somewhat random until 20 years ago. This is the unscripted commentary on this Torah and Science Parsha video with the goal of building unshakable conviction by revealing the hidden unity between modern science and ancient wisdom. If you haven't seen the original 4-minute video yet, the link is in the info card and the description. Research revealed that the brain chooses experiences marked by intentional focus. Whoever controls your attention influences who you become. This is an idea that people resonate with. Some feel like they're sleepwalking through life or they're sheeple. They don't realize how much influence is being put on them from outside, whether it's intentional or not. And so this is opening up into a concept we're going to see about dreams here in the weekly Parsha of Vayeishev. And we're going to deal with Yosef the Tzaddik, or as I see here in English, Joseph the Righteous. In order to build unshakable conviction by revealing the hidden unity between modern science and ancient wisdom, let us consider how 3,557 years ago, the Torah identified Joseph as the master of dreams. Usually I round off 3,300, 3,500. I want it to be very specific. We know we have a tradition of the exact year that Yosef had the dreams and interpreted them for Pharaoh. And that was 3,557 years ago, to the year, because he was 30 years old, and we know when he was born, and we can trace it all the way back. And this is part of what's called the Masorah, the tradition that is the strongest evidence for the validity of Judaism and therefore all Abrahamic religions. The question is, what technology did he have access to that neuroscience is only now decoding? The Alter Rebbe explains that during sleep, the discriminatory mind becomes dormant. In the waking world where we think this is the true reality, even though there's so much research that continues to pile on, which resonates with so many different spiritual teachings, including Jewish mysticism, of course, which is that this world runs seemingly in a very logical way. But when you're asleep, you're starting to get a taste of the spiritual world. Some say part of the soul goes back to its root every time you're asleep, and you lose consciousness because of that, and then it comes back. This idea is that the spiritual realm does not work in the same rules of logic and reasoning that we have here. And so therefore, during sleep, our discriminatory mind or logical thinking mind, that gets reduced, and we're into this new phase of existence, and we oscillate back and forth every single day. And there's reasons for that. Not necessarily going to get into that here, but it's interesting to know and realize sleep is not just some hindrance. There's a reason and a function for it. All that remains is the power of imagination, allowing opposites to manifest. In Chassidus and Kabbalah, this idea comes up a lot of paradoxes and impossibilities all the time. And getting comfortable with that and learning how to navigate that system when exploring these concepts. In dreams, opposites coexist. You run, but stay stuck. This represents Golos itself, a waking dream where we reflect the impossible premise that an infinite God and finite world can coexist. So just like that, there's plenty of atheists and scientists and philosophers, etc., and others who are just living their life, and they're like, you look at the world, there's no God, therefore there's no God. And they don't understand that they're living in a gullus. They're living in this dream world, a waking dream, where we say we're awake, so it's a waking dream. That is a little play on words there, but essentially we're awake. We feel like we're awake, but that's the true gullus, that we don't realize, like the Matrix, that this big veil is over us, and therefore we cannot comprehend the whole idea of the brain filtering out so much that we cannot comprehend what seems to be two impossible things coexisting. How can you have an infinite God in a finite world? And I've made other videos on this, the idea of a higher unity, lower unity, higher knowledge, lower knowledge. It's not my original ideas, of course, comes from the Hasidic and Kabbalistic masters. But there are ideas you find in physics I had the recent video on the Bose-Einstein condensate, how you can go back and forth between distinctness and unity, and then also the prayer of Shema and how a photon, a ray of light, can be two different reference frames, look two different realities essentially. One is unified and one is not. The Lubavitcher Rebbe notes that Pharaoh's dreams were passive, like when it said he stood watching, while Joseph's dreams began with action. For example, we were binding sheaves. This wasn't a metaphor, it was neurological programming. So now we're getting from the abstract into how do we actually utilize this and becoming intentional, mindful, present. If you listen to people more New Age talking about manifestation and being present is a major deal in helping that you shape your own reality versus letting the world shape and alter you. Who's in control? This is similar to the idea of the battle between the animal soul and the godly soul. How if we can become a slave to our own animalistic desires, whether it's about a person who's attractive or about certain types of food or certain types of material possessions like cars, vacations, houses, watches, jewelry, etc. Are we really in control, or are we a slave to the animalistic side of us? And so here we're saying our Pharaoh's dreams were passive while Yosef's were active, showing Yosef is the one saying, I'm going to be in control of not just my life, but eventually lead to the exodus of the Jewish people out of Egypt. Just as the hippocampus replays experiences at 20 times normal speed while you doze off, Joseph directed which memories got replayed. By actively binding fragmented reality during the day, he programmed the movie he would watch at night. So how do we enter this transcendent filming studio? There's a lot of symbolism in the dreams. One way to interpret it is that he's binding all the different aspects of that day and molding what his future will become and who his personality will be shaped by, or what events his personality will be shaped by. But he's taking the active role in that. Before we continue, remember to sign up for my free newsletter so you don't miss my new printable sheet for your Shabbos table. This has become very popular. It's going around. It's only the third issue, and I'm hearing such amazing feedback. It's pretty cool to see the global reach, and people tell me that they're printing it for their synagogues, for their shuls, for friends, for family members. They're sending the PDF, or some are just printing it, handing it to others. So go ahead and get it. I do not sell email addresses. The other main reason is that I've had people email me, contact me directly because of the newsletter. YouTube as a platform does not allow direct communication, unlike other platforms. And therefore, if you want to be able to get in touch with me and me can get in touch with you directly, because the way the algorithm works is, if you notice, you might binge watch a few videos from a channel and then your attention will shift to something else. This happens to me all the time. And then I don't hear back from those other channels for weeks or months. And then you're like, hey, wait, I missed out on all this. So this way you'll get the email directly to your inbox, and also has a link to the videos each time. So let's continue this journey together, and I'm looking forward to having you sign up to the newsletter each week. The link is in the pinned comment under the subscribe button. The Tanya explains that a mitzvah performed with intense focus creates a spiritual impression that transcends time. When your brain enters the editing room of slumber, it uploads each mitzvah performed into your soul's garment architecture. So hopefully this shouldn't be so much of a surprise for those that have been watching my channel, that you understand, and or those who have learned Chassidus, that understand that when you engage with the mitzvah here in this physical world, it's a portal to be able to access something beyond this world. And one of the effects is that the mitzvahs that you do act as garments for your soul. And as your soul works its way back to returning to its source, which is the essence of God, it needs more and more garments, sort of like a heat shield, in order to get there. And so I'm connecting that concept here with the editing room of slumber. This focus that you're doing mitzvahs on is connecting with the idea of focus, helping to shape who you are. So we went from the physical world, and now we're talking about spiritually and what that does for your neshama, for your soul. So not only just talking about this physical world now we're taking that same concept and bringing it up because as a theme I often talk about is that this physical world is made in the image of the spiritual, and that Hashem looked into the Torah and it was his blueprint for creating the world. So this is another example of that.
Every focused action is your reality check, the technique lucid dreamers use to trigger awareness inside of a dream. When researchers pulsed sleeping subjects with 40 hertz electrical waves, they induced lucid dreaming, demonstrating a hybrid state of consciousness where waking awareness merged with a dream state.
And now everything's coming together, and we're going to connect it to prayer.
Similarly, when you pray, you're not just creating lip service. Rather, you're injecting divine frequency into exile's REM slumber.
The reason I mentioned lip service, which could, I guess, be a little controversial, is that I think a lot of Jews who go to shul 3 times a day and pray from the same text over and over and over, they know it so well. Some do not use a prayer book. Others force themselves to, so they can stay focused. And it's a challenge. And it can oftentimes feel for many people like lip service. I'm just moving my lips. I'm just whispering out what I'm saying, even if they're saying it out loud. And my point here is to bring it together to say that prayer, and especially the way it's canonized in our siddur, but of course, everyone should daven with their own personal tefillahs and asking Hashem for what they need, for their own growth, for whatever it is. For others, of course, it's essentially you're triggering yourself with this reality check inside of this dream to create this lucid dream experience so that you can be in control of reality. And as the Rebbe would say, you should be in the world, but above the world at the same time.
But what happens when an entire nation wakes up inside the dream?
Now we're shifting from personal to global. How your personal actions will have a global effect on everybody.
Psalms chapter 126 promises that when God returns Zion's exiles, we will be like dreamers.
For those that don't realize, this is what you say at the beginning of benching, the blessing after you eat a meal, the Shir Malos that people sing. This is what the first line is saying.
The Messianic era is not an escape from physicality. It's collective lucid dreaming, perceiving physical and spiritual simultaneously.
My kids love this graphic. My wife said to me recently, you're using the same thing over and over. I said to her, 70 to 80% of my viewers are new. They haven't seen it before. And even so, we love it. And my son goes, Tati, can you show me the tree with the leaves? He's 5. And with all the lights, he loves this. It's like the Matrix. This took a lot of work to put together. So my other kid said, why don't you improve it? I said, I don't want to touch it. It works. It's good. Baruch Hashem. People like it maybe in the future, but it's such a cool graphic. And the whole idea is that the physical and spiritual, you'll simultaneously see it. So we don't really know what it'll look like, but it's kind of like the Matrix. This is inspired by the Matrix, of course, that you see a tree, but now you see the divine letters and light that are forming the tree. And so you see this hybrid state. Will it be what exactly it looks like? I have no idea. Probably not, but we're limited in this world. So I'm trying. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate it.
That financial stress, that health concern, or relationship dysfunction tormenting you is an imagination running wild inside of a nightmare.
This is not to, God forbid, lessen the importance of challenges in our lives. It's to put it in a broader perspective. Your challenges are real, but the real challenge is not the challenge itself. The real challenge is how you respond to it. And the way you respond and your mentality, and if you think good, it'll be good. And if you take a step back and go, I'm undergoing a suffering, a challenge, a pain, whatever it is. And by the way, challenges and pain do not necessarily have to be the same thing. They often are, but it doesn't have to be. It's one of the effects of Golus. The challenge is to help you grow stronger. Your neshama chose the challenges it wanted. So realize every time you have a challenge, and I have to tell myself this plenty, don't get upset, don't get angry, Take a deep breath and realize this was all planned. And the point is to see how you respond to it. The pain is real. Now, if you're going through something where there is pain, the pain is real. It's real for us, but in reality, it's really imagined. And the question is, can you take yourself out, remove yourself and see, I acknowledge that my body and my mental state's going through pain, whether it's feeling down, depression, someone I love got hurt, or God forbid, even killed. I'm undergoing physical pain. I'm undergoing whatever it is. I'm worried, anxiety, the rent's due. But then also to realize it's all going to work out. The path might not be what you think is optimal, but your soul knows and chose and saw ahead of time and knows it's for your best. And it would be good for us to stop judging ourselves based on others and realize that every single one of us has an individual plan and reason for being. If we judge about others, it's going to drive us further to feel bad about ourselves. Rather, taking a step back, looking and saying, I acknowledge that I'm going through the pain, it's for my own good, and it's going to drive me to have a deeper relationship with God, or to drive me to do something else. That's an important message to take away here. So I'm not trying to minimize what anyone's going through, but I'm trying to help you have a new perspective and to give tools to transcend and to really redefine what's happening in your life.
When you pause mid-chaos to make a blessing, you disrupt that false narrative, becoming a master of the dream. And with this inheritance from Joseph the righteous, we prepare for when we will laugh at the shadows we once believed were real. To learn other novel insights connecting science with the Parsha, click here for the full playlist. And to watch how I shatter the illusion of the science versus religion debate, click here. If you'd like to sponsor one of these classes, click on a link in the description. Thank you for partnering with me as we build this unshakable conviction together.